why do relationships sting? Why do they hurt? Why do they have to be so painful and unearth the most negative, darkest, saddest feelings that we have within ourselves? The answer is simple. It is that they have to. They are here for that reason, especially given that we are in a monumental time and shift in humanity where we can be more sensitive and attuned to our deeper self. Unfortunately, part of that is unearthing these more painful aspects, and relationships are going to be our greatest teachers. In this video, I'm going to go into why relationships hurt, the opportunity that we can uncover when we are experiencing pain of any kind due to relationships, some shadow prompts as well for you to navigate some deeper pains if you are experiencing, and the future of relationships, where this evolution is taking us. Now, there is an ancient Buddhist teaching that when one has become enlightened to some degree, they have been practicing intently on their meditation and mindfulness and inner practice. When they reach a certain level, they are literally invited or asked, or maybe even encouraged to get married, to have children, or to be with their family. And this is because relationships will take us to another level if we choose to work with it in the healthiest way possible, if we are mindful about relationships, if we work with relationships as an opportunity to change ourselves and to deepen our inner practice, to heal, to resolve pains, and to turn our projections outward to the inner landscape, to understand the common thoughts, the common emotions, the common reactions, and the common feelings that we have within ourselves when we are facing relationship difficulties. Now, these relationships that I'm referring to are love relationships, family relationships. It could even be something of a pet or a close friend or something of that nature. Any type of relationship that we become close to can create some pain. Now, in our society, because now we're in a time where we're feeling more and we're sensing more, a lot of us also will resist more. A lot of us will push people away more and choose to stay in isolation or alone, or to be single for the rest of our lives, which that only serves a purpose for so long. It can be very comfortable. Being alone can also offer a great opportunity for self-growth and for healing and transformation, but we can only get so far that way. It is going to be important for us to get out of our comfort zone at some point and start to experience a new aspect of our life. Relationships are naturally going to trigger that which we have not acknowledged yet. It is easy to suppress our deeper emotions. It's easy to suppress pain and to not want to feel that which makes us hurt, that which causes any kind of discomfort. However, as you know my channel and you know my work, going through this discomfort is where you are going to be freed. This is where you are going to be liberated. This is where you are going to understand the psychological and emotional patterns that have been dormant within the unconscious. Now, we don't even realize sometimes that we have them until we have some kind of situation in our life arise, showing us something that we need to see, maybe hurting us a certain way or making us angry or making us sad. Those emotions are our cues to go deeper within ourselves. Now, when we feel these discomforts, this is the time where we get to learn more about ourselves. However, it's easier to project outward and to blame the other person and to throw negativity towards them. That is not helping the cause. In fact, that's going to perpetuate the stories that have been ingrained within our unconscious that we will constantly live by unless we turn in and start making the constructive changes within ourselves. I created a video a while ago on the mirroring effect, what mirroring is. So people in our outer landscape, and this could be anything. It could be a car, it could be an object, it could be a situation, will show us hidden, dormant aspects within ourselves that need to be acknowledged if we are reacting in certain ways, right? So from my experience, working through this for many years, especially through relationships, have been my greatest teachers by far. I have found more peace and flow when dealing with difficult situations because I have done this work. So speaking from doing this work, it works. This is the most profound, most important exercise that you can find yourself engaged with. Do not shy away from relationships. Now, I'm going to also give some tips and some guidance as far as how to navigate difficult relationships, how to navigate triggers. But first of all, I want to drive this really important message as far as what is happening within ourselves and with relationship dynamics when we feel pain, when we feel resistance. And doesn't mean when we are in flow and harmony, it doesn't mean that we have our door open and we can allow anyone to just walk in and do whatever they want, maybe be abusive or be toxic or negative towards us. Not at all. This means also that we are more firm with our truth, our authenticity, what we want in our life without having to be resistant towards life itself, without having to be guarded or protected. Because when we are in our inner truth, we know who we are in our light, and it's unshakable. When we are in fear, we are constantly on guard and being activated and triggered by other people. Therefore, it's going to create some kind of projection outwardly. We can throw shade to another person. We can internalize it and brood on a situation for a long time. Those cycles are incredibly unhealthy. And unfortunately, eventually they're going to show up in the body, or they're going to show up in some kind of area in life, perhaps even creating complications with day-to-day functioning. So some simple examples of mirroring how we have unresolved maybe traumas or beliefs within our unconscious. If there is a fear of rejection, then someone may not allow another person to get too close. They may find reasons to push someone away. They may also become very, very attached, not wanting to let go of a relationship, therefore deepening some of the wounds when maybe a relationship ends up separating. There could also be a very distorted perception on another person because of anger or resentment that has not been resolved within the unconscious, therefore completely distorting someone's best intentions or someone's actions in such a distorted and heightened way that matches the anger that has not been acknowledged yet within the unconscious self. So there are many different ways to look at this. This, of course, is going to be unique for your own story, but these are some of the common situations that you can find yourself in, or that we can find ourselves in as humans. We all have this within ourselves. We all have an unconscious. We all have our fears. We all have our wounds. But like I said, the more that we acknowledge them through compassion and through observation, acknowledging it through also a shift in perception, trying to gain a new perception on ourselves, on our deeper selves, on our patterns, on the origin of some of our reactions, and also being compassionate towards others and understanding where they are coming from, we are going to lessen the impact of future situations and find more peace and flow and openness with life. All right, so just as a recap, let's go into some of the reasons why relationships hurt. The first is going to be the mirroring effect, as I mentioned. Relationships reflect our unresolved wounds and unmet needs. Pain often arises when others trigger hidden fears or past experiences of rejection, abandonment, or betrayal. The other is attachment and expectations. How unmet expectations and attachment styles, secure, avoidant, anxious, shape emotional dynamics. And then finally, the role of the ego seeks validation and security in relationships, leading to conflict when these needs aren't met. The relationship with the ego is very strong. That also is going to play into these relationship dynamics. If there is confrontation, if things don't go the way we expect them to go, that is based on a story from the ego and from a persona that has been built in some manner. So, of course, if there is an initial response, a headstrong energy, again, placing a story into the situation of negativity, of harshness, or positioning a person in a certain way, take a moment and take a pause to see what that story is trying to tell you that's coming from your deeper self. When we are in a place of purity and alignment, we really will not have these sharp and vicious responses to certain relationships, or even sad or depressive responses to certain relationships, or even extremely high responses to relationships. Any of these extremes are indicating unresolved beliefs within ourselves and expectations within ourselves. When we are in a place of alignment within ourselves, when we have connected with our heart and our emotions and a deep sense of compassion and unconditional love, relationships are going to be very fluid and matured in the way of understanding, working through situations, and deepening the connection within and with the other person or other people in one's life. We still have work to do. This is not saying that relationships won't take work. They do require work because we are all evolving. We are all evolving, but if you find the right people or person, then you can evolve together, and especially understanding how you can take this information and apply it to your own practice. The deeper opportunities of painful relationships include awakening to unconscious patterns, understanding the pain points to what needs healing within us. For example, in a relationship partnership, maybe if one person didn't have emotional connection or their emotional needs met when they were a child, they may tend to lack emotional connection and intimacy on a deep level with another person. So that's one of the examples. And as I mentioned, when we understand these patterns and these correlations and some of the areas that we have not seen within ourselves, we can deepen that relationship, therefore showing up more. Growth will happen through discomfort. So, pain invites introspection, shadow work, and the chance to reclaim lost parts of oneself. These pains that we may experience during relationships will offer incredible opportunities for change if we go into it, if we soften our hearts, and if we look at these situations through a different perspective. It's easier to push people away, it's easier to project towards other people or to blame other people as well. We are going to evolve faster and greater if we understand these relationship dynamics. Like I said, these are our greatest teachers and give us an incredible opportunity to free ourselves from patterns within our unconscious, within our deeper self. The paradox of relationships is that they challenge us to face our fears while also teaching us how to love unconditionally, starting with ourselves. The power of forgiveness and understanding is freeing and liberating. I can't express this enough. When you are working through this process, when you incorporate forgiveness and unconditional love, meaning that you can see them for the pain that they're going through, you can understand them deeper, and you can forgive them faster. This is universal. Unconditional love is universal, and it runs through every relationship that we can find ourselves in. And of course, starting from within ourselves, we have to first love ourselves unconditionally, wholly and fully, in order for that to transpire outwardly into our relationships. So if you are finding yourself in a relationship difficulty, if you're going through pain, if you're going through discomfort, if you're trying to let go, if you're trying to heal yourself through a relationship, maybe separation or conflict or discomfort, I'm going to provide some shadow prompts here for you to reflect upon. The first one is to address the origin of pain. What reoccurring patterns or themes do I notice in my relationships? Where in my childhood did I feel abandoned, rejected, or unsafe? How does this show up now? Abandonment and rejection can be also from the slightest nuances that we have experienced as a child. So some are going to be very obvious, some can be very subtle regarding maybe emotional disconnection, maybe the mother not being emotionally attuned and bonded with the child in a deeper way. This can happen in many different forms. So I encourage you, if this is resonating, if you're going through something, to take some time and to connect with what emotional connection can mean for you and how you feel the connection with maybe a caregiver or a parent or certain situations that may have transpired and happened in your childhood. This does shape us to who we are today, but like I said, everything is changeable and we grow even more through understanding these patterns and these origins. The next one is reflect on fears and defenses. What do I fear most in relationships? Rejection, betrayal, or loss? How does this fear shape my actions? How do I protect myself emotionally? Is this protection serving or hindering me? When we are in fear, and this can happen very, very unconsciously, we will tend to protect ourselves and create distance in many different ways. This can be creating distance in maybe the words that we say, maybe in the way that we see and perceive other people, in the way that we react, and in the way that we behave. This also can be in the way, in the energy that we are signaling outward. And what we are protecting inward, that people can pick up on very unconsciously. The next one is explore shadow aspects. What traits in others irritate or hurt me? Do I also carry these traits in some way? And finally, where am I projecting my own insecurities onto others? So, going into this new age of relationships, I feel from my own observation, from my own experience, I feel many relationships have been falling apart over the last several years. I know statistically, the marriage rate has dropped. The divorce rate, I'm assuming, has increased. Is difficult more now than ever to find meaningful relationships. It's because we're right in this middle point of deconstructing and reconstructing this paradigm, this relationship aspect by addressing the relationship within ourselves first, therefore seeing the results starting to transpire in the outer world. Both men and women are stepping up and putting the work in to dig deep within themselves to create meaningful relationships. I've seen it, it's amazing, and it is happening. However, we still, all of us need to do our part. We need to show up more for ourselves, more now than ever, so that we can cultivate meaningful relationships. If this is calling to you, if this is something that you would that you desire, that you would like, and that you would like to work towards. The new paradigm is starting to happen where conscious relationships are starting to evolve because a lot of us are starting to become more conscious within ourselves. Therefore, naturally, there will be a turnover of relationship dynamics in a more healthier, meaningful way, in a way where two people can come together and evolve together. Now, speaking of that, there are going to be many relationships that you might run into in your life, or maybe one or two that are going to be very powerful and very deep and very connected and could unearth some of the greatest pains. But I have gone through this many, many times. Soulmate relationships, karmic relationships, they are extremely painful, but they will set you free if you know how to work through this. They will give you an opportunity to see more of yourself, to free yourself, to heal, and maybe to heal these relationship dynamics, or maybe to bring another person closer in a way that you haven't experienced before. So there are going to be these karmic tie type of relationships, these soulmate relationships. I believe, it is of my belief, that we have probably more than one soulmate. I don't subscribe necessarily to the twin flame journey. I feel the twin flame is, and I saw someone, I'm going to borrow it from someone I saw online a while ago. They claim that the twin is within ourself. The twin flame is ourself. And if we are searching and longing for another person to complete us, we are missing the plot here. Because if we are searching and waiting for someone to complete us, a relationship, even if it's not a twin flame, even if it's a soulmate, even if it's the one, we are still disempowering ourselves from being whole and complete within ourselves. When we are whole and complete within ourselves, that is when we're going to meet someone who's going to match that. If we are not whole and complete within ourselves, we are going to meet someone who is going to trigger some of those aspects within ourselves that we need to look at in order to be whole and complete. This is where this next evolution is going to take us. There is a complete distortion in our society where relationships are going to complete us or make us whole, and that's not true. And they are here, they're going to be here to complement us, to help us, to heal us, to evolve us. This is the next evolution of humanity. It's going to be through relationships, and of course, the relationship within ourselves. When you are with the partner that matches where you are at, you will be able to co-create faster. You will be able to evolve faster. You will be able to be more of yourself in a greater capacity, opening your heart fully and wholly without these restrictions and limitations of fears and rejection wounds and abandonment wounds and these unconscious beliefs that have been buried deep within. I truly feel, and I've seen this, and I feel it deep in my heart, that this is where we are going. But we all have to come together and agree that this is what we are going to work on ourselves first, deepening the relationship within, therefore, of course, creating these beautiful, meaningful relationships in our outer environment as a result. So I hope this video found you when you need it the most. I'm wishing you all the best on your journey and beyond, remembering that relationships, the greatest pain is not something to run away from. It's something to dive into. It's something to explore. It will give you an immense amount of information and opportunity for growth and evolution. I'm wishing you all the best on your journey and beyond, and I will see you again very soon. Take care.